Hey Raquel, happy Friday. How you doing out there in Newport Beach, California?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. I mean, it's always a gorgeous day out here, but it's another one.
Another great day. Angie and I looked over your questions that you had sent in follow up to the podcast we're about to do. And I before I get to that book, because that book, I really believe that book that you wrote could be somebody's lifesaver. Before I get to that though, give us a little idea what's your backstory, what led you here, and the book that you wrote has a lot to do with your life experiences, right?
Correct.
Okay, so talk about
Correct.
talk about this. What was the breaking point that made? Because somebody listening right now is going to say, "Okay, I need to hear what this lady's saying because I am where she was." So, what was the breaking point for you? We're all different. That said, I just can't do this anymore.
It started with ending my 24-year marriage. And then the years following that, I just kept having a lot of losses as far as relationships and friendships. And I came to a point where I realized I was the common denominator in all of it.
That's got to be not only life changing, but I believe one of the most difficult things a person can do to look themselves in the mirror and say, "Look, I'm responsible for me." At the end of the day, it's me who's responsible for my actions, my circumstances, my thoughts, everything. So, how does somebody get there to that point?
I had to take accountability. You have to take accountability for your choices in life because that's where it gets you where you're at. And it's up to you to determine if you're happy with where you're at or not in life. And I got to a point where it didn't matter how much pure heartedness I put in every situation and every relationship. I was not feeling like I was getting the same in return.
Right.
And so I had to sit and, like you said, face myself in the mirror and acknowledge and take accountability for parts of myself that I didn't like and wanted to change. The good, the
Okay.
bad, the ugly, all of it.
Okay. Th- that's important. What you just there's a lot there to unpack. The parts of you didn't like, because the hardest part, I believe, for human beings is say, "Okay, I want a new life. I want something different, but I'm going to keep doing the same thing I've been doing and expect a different result." That's where people get fucked up and tripped up, because I really believe once you can identify it, first of all, you have to have the self awareness and the determination and hold yourself accountable. I'm going to take a personal inventory. I'm going to look within myself. And then, okay, that's the first step. The second step is now I need to make the change. I recognize it, but now I got to make the change.
For me, it comes back to when I lived in Paris. In my previous marriage, there was an afternoon where we used to go to different shops on a weekend, and just, it's a beautiful city. We'd walk around. And we decided to take a break in a beautiful courtyard of one of their gorgeous hotels. And I remember looking over to my former husband at the time and asking him, "Do you ever feel like you're meant for more?" And he looked at me and just quite simply responded, "No." And for me, I had been feeling for a while like I was meant for more. I just didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it looked like. And I had no idea of how to even begin to unpack that.
Mhm.
Right. So I do remember looking at him and saying exactly what I just said to you. I don't know how to do it, but I know that I don't like myself right now. And when it came to the point, once I was separated, had been divorced, living in Newport, and was experiencing these bad experiences, um, I was, what I would say, was at the bottom of my barrel and was willing, ready, and able to do whatever it took for me to find out what that more was and
Mhm.
then be it.
Mhm. Well,
And I
go ahead.
think this is it.
That's a process, because Angie, and you can relate to this. She had mentioned a similar situation where one of her relationships, the guy said, "This is good as it gets," and I mean, you can elaborate on that, right? in her heart, she was saying, I knew there was more, basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much so. Everything was, well, this is good as it gets. This is good as it gets. We go to visit family. This is good as it gets. And yeah, like everything, every question I had was, his answer was, this is good as it gets. So accept it or don't accept it. So pretty much.
You know,
Yes.
and you feel, so when somebody says that, that's going to either, you're not only going to hear them, but if you're not on board with that, you're going to literally feel that and say, wait a minute, no, that didn't land in a way that I can accept that or settle for that. If that's where you're at, that's not where I'm at. And that was do you think that was a turning point for you?
Oh, it was the beginning of the end for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the end for me in that moment. And he didn't, that was the only response I got, Angie. At least he, formed a conversation with you. I just got no. It wasn't, why do you think that? There was no reciprocation. And so I then sat with myself. Look, it was a beautiful clear sky. It was a beautiful afternoon. And if you're in Paris, the most beautiful city in the world, and you can't be happy within yourself,
Yeah.
there's some work that needs to be done.
Yeah. That's a huge, I want to say, eye opener, right?
Correct.
You call it a red flag, eye opener, awakening, whatever you want to call it, but you were meant to be there. It's funny how you can look at that situation two different ways. Like, oh, well, I'm bummed out, I'm here. But no, there's a positive side. You flip the coin over, there's another side of that saying, okay, this is what I needed to hear. I came all the way to Paris, the most beautiful city in the world, or one of them. And this is what I heard. And now this is what I'm feeling. Now I got to do something about it.
Yes. On the outside looking in, I lived a gorgeous lifestyle. We traveled extensively. Every room in our apartment had a view of the Eiffel Tower. My daughter said it was her nightlight. She visited us twice. But for me to not be happy and still have these beautiful surroundings and objects, if you will, around me, it was very obvious that there was something in me that I needed to look deep into, to work on. And I was the only person that could do it.
100%. You nailed it right there. That's spot on, because no person, place, or thing is ever going to be able to take care of that for you. You have to do that within yourself. And so many times people get in the trap and say, once I get to Paris, once I have the perfect spouse, once I have the beautiful house, once I have the car, this, that, or the other, and they're still miserable. So I'm happy for you that you actually recognize that, and then super stoked that you actually did something about it. Because so many people get trapped and settle, like she just said, the person that said that to her is like, this is good as it gets. The awareness on that is like zero. Like, you're going to settle for that life and know nothing better or want anything better. That's fine for that person. But for somebody who aspires for more, that's got to be a huge eye opener.
It was a huge eye opener. I also have to add, I had been on depression medication at that point for a number of years, and it just I wasn't making any progress. Now, mind you, I wasn't mindful of that at the time. I was on sleep and depression medication, and I was still not functioning like I am today off of both of them for 3 years now.
Wow. Good for you.
So in retrospect, I knew I knew that what I was doing wasn't working. And no matter how hard or effort I put into it, it wasn't happening. So therefore, it was up to me alone to figure it out. And that's when I started self-isolating and doing shadow work. And in that process, I organically developed my 4-step emotional intelligence, which is what helped me get off the medication by healing trauma that I wasn't aware of.
That's interesting you said that, because that's one of the questions Angie has for you is the medication part of it, because so many people, I am one of them. I'm one of the statistics that was overprescribed 25 different medications, to the point the med manager said, look, we're running out of meds to give you. And it seems to me that you are probably you have treatment resistant depression. After all those meds, that was her answer. So go ahead, Ange.
So if someone listening feels trapped in depression, anxiety, emotional pain today, what is the message that you want them to hear from you?
You're not alone. You are not alone. I felt so isolated, even in crowds of people before I made a decision to self-isolate. Right? I could be having the best time with my friends, but there was always a part of me that was numb. And now that I'm off of the medication, I've come to realize that I'd been on them for over 15 years.
Wow.
I was prescribed and I was on them consistently nonstop for over 15 years, both of them. Now, I never changed the medications. It was always the same ones. And I just wasn't satisfied. I wasn't satisfied. So I think for those who are looking to get off of medication, you have to reach a point where you're willing to make the changes. You have to commit to yourself that you're willing to make the changes, and only you know what those are by looking within or facing yourself in the mirror, doing shadow work, however you want to put it. You need to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself on a level that you never have before.
You must have read her mind because that was her next question.
You say you stopped depending on doctors and medication. What changed inside that finally led to the lasting change? Period. You're done. That's it.
So I went through a situation here where I had to leave my apartment unexpectedly. And that the last night in my apartment was the last, because I would take my medications in the evening before when I went to bed. That was the last night that I had taken my medication. A good week or so had gone by before I realized I hadn't taken any. I had gone to stay with some friends. And in that time, without being on medication, I organized, strategized, prioritized, and carried out a coast to coast move without stepping foot in my apartment again. So once I realized that I had accomplished that off of medication, it was one of the most difficult times of my life. And I did it without any hesitation, it was a part of me I didn't know existed. Right. So once I got to know her and found her, she didn't need the medication anymore, because if I can get through that, I can get through the rest of the days.
Right.
And I haven't taken another medication. I haven't spoken to another therapist. I haven't spoken to a doctor, psychiatrist. I really feel like when we give ourselves the space and grace to do the hard work, to get to know ourselves, to face ourselves in the mirror. And yes, there are going to be some unexpected things that may come up, but if you continue to face those on and on, you will get to a point where you can just let them go. And in the letting go is where the magic happens.
100%. I'm listening to you, and I'm seeing patterns in your life where you went into a situation. This is the second one I just picked up on. This first one was going to Paris. You didn't go to Paris expecting to hear him say that to you, correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Now you go to a friend's house without the medication. I'm guessing it was unintentionally. You just forgot it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So here's another one that pops up. And in those situations, those are just two. I've known you for 13 minutes. Okay. But those are just two huge ones that literally set you on a new course in life. Because again, it wasn't your idea, but life had bigger plans for you.
Correct. Now, by the time, I had left my apartment, I was a good 3 years into doing shadow work. I started doing shadow work right around the time that COVID hit. So 2020, early 2020. And I had already developed my formula. So I was already working the steps and was seeing progress as far as with my anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
right? While I was living in that apartment, I had my first anxiety attack. And in the process of that, I found myself pacing my apartment and I just told myself to sit down. And I sat and I just sat in the uncomfortableness of
Mm.
all the feelings that an anxiety attack brings.
Mm.
I sat with them, I rode the wave, and I asked myself, why did this happen? What was I thinking that caused this?
Right.
And that's where I started with facing myself in the mirror and doing the work, just
Yeah.
doing the work.
The only place success comes before work is a dictionary. You have to do the work if you want the results. I mean, people can get. I always say this: people can get comfortable in the discomfort, or they can become content in discontent and settle for less, and you can ride that out to your grave. However, there's certain people on this planet who say, "No, I refuse to settle for more than what I deserve." Secondly, going back to what you just said about the sitting in the uncomfortableness, I not only do I hear what you're saying, I've been through that, everything you're going through, suicidal depression. I don't know if you ever got the suicidal depression, but I went through suicidal depression, paralyzed anxiety, chronic insomnia, PTSD. It was a mind fuck for 5 years. And when I came across Joe Dispenza, he said the same thing. You want to sit in that meditation, and that your body's going to want to get up, and you got to tame that wild animal and just get through that. And once you start doing that, breaking the habit of being yourself, you will start to see some changes.
Yes, you're right. People do get comfortable in the it's a lack. It's people just being lazy because it's the easiest thing to do.
The path of least resistance.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so for me, once I did that, once I kept allowing myself to sit in those uncomfortable feelings, especially after I stopped taking the medication. Now,
Mhm.
once I stopped taking the medication, I moved to Florida, started writing my book. I wrote my book from bed, right? And there were many situations where I prayed not to wake up the next morning. But as time goes on,
Mhm.
you get comfortable in that uncomfortableness because of what you start to get out of it,
Yeah.
right? You start to learn certain aspects of yourself, certain aspects of my mindset.
Yeah.
I had unbeknownst to me, had gotten to a point where my body was addicted to the negativity.
Mhm.
Once I found that once I had published my book and I took a break, I had 2 book signings here in Newport Beach last year at the beginning of the year, and I needed a break to just live life. And I found that while I was in that process, my body would still sometimes crave. It would get sad and it would want to get depressed, and I would have to ask myself why. You've
All right.
got a published book. You developed a formula that has healed 3 of your traumas. One I was unaware of from childhood.
Mhm.
You've succeeded at all these things. And that's when I had to acknowledge to myself even more and work on my mindset. You need to change your mindset if you want to change your life.
Okay. Now, easy. That sounds simple, of course, right? Sounds
Right.
simple, not easy. Here's the thing, and you probably realize this at this point. Everybody here on this planet is running a formula,
Right.
and it has been in place for the entire lifetime. I equate it to the person who smokes cigarettes.
Yes.
Okay, that brain now, it becomes used to that nicotine, that fix, the tobacco, that habit of smoking a cigarette. Take the cigarette away, what's going to happen? The brain wants more. There's no different when you are addicted to negativity. If you're addicted to conflict, chaos, negativity, pessimism, whatever you're addicted to, when that begins to get removed from the brain's going to want more. The brain says,
Right.
wait a minute, I'm conditioned. There's a chemical reaction in the brain that says, I need to have some negativity right now because I'm feeling a withdrawal So what you're saying is 1,000% correct. But the problem is people don't understand that, and they go back to it without breaking the habit of the negative patterns.
Brett, you just literally hit the nail on the head.
I've lived it.
If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to continue to get the same results. I am
Facts.
fortunate enough that I've been able to attend 3 retreats by Lisa J. Coaching. Mindset Reset are what her retreats are.
Mhm.
And it's, with me already being on the process of wanting to change and better my life, so to speak, and myself as a person, I understood that it needed to start with my mindset.
Right.
And in attending her retreats and the tools that were given to me, there's nothing wrong here. There's enough for everyone to go around. It's a series of mindsets that you repeat to yourself. And you get to a point where I no longer repeat them because I'm living them.
Right. Yeah. The first, what's crazy is that the eye opener is I relate this to like a language. If you're born in America and your primary language is English, and then let's say at 17 you move to Spain, you have to learn a new language. You have to learn Spanish now. Well, you're still going to know your English language, but you're going to learn a new language. Okay, let's say 3, 4, 5 years go by, and now you're speaking predominantly Spanish. It doesn't mean you're ever going to forget your English, your primary English language that you were programmed as a kid, but you recognize it. Just like the negativity, I see myself, I see the pattern after coming out of suicidal depression for 5 after doing the work, that those old patterns are still they're still there. They don't ever really go away. I don't get fucked up by them anymore. I don't get bitten by them or trapped or I don't marinate in them. I recognize, oh, okay, that's an old pattern. That's how it used to be. This is how I used to respond. But I have a new language now. I did the work. I can see awareness, right? Awareness. Okay, I see the old patterns, but I don't fall from. I don't bite the bait or by the hook. I'm not batting 1,000. I'm not perfect. I still trip. I'm a human. But the biggest aha is recognizing them and not being controlled by them.
Yes. And I'm like you, and I'm sure there are listeners out there that probably feel the same. The majority of my days now are great. I do have a bad day here and there. I had a couple of bad days this week. And it's a matter of acknowledging why. Why? What do you have control over changing it? And what you don't, you give over to your God, universe,
Mm-hmm.
however you want to put it. You can only control what you can control, but make sure you control it.
Right. We, Angie and I actually, obviously, we're humans. We have our days. What's a bad day look like for you?
Ooh, right now, a bad day for
Let me
me.
hold on 1 second, because you just make it fresh. The last one you said you had one yesterday or the day? Yeah.
I had two in a row earlier this week. There are just circumstances in life that we don't have control over.
Give us one example. Give us a pure. Let's make this bold. Give me an example. What's it look like for you? Because somebody's going to hear this and relate to you. What's that bad day look like?
For me, I'm as a parent. You're only as happy as your happiest child. And one of mine's going through some challenges right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it affects me as a parent.
Sure.
Right. And so my low is you hurt for them and you wish, they're an adult now,
Mm-hmm.
but you wish that you could do more for them at the same time, understanding you have to step back and let them figure it out. It's not easy. It's
No.
not easy. And both of mine are adults. It doesn't end. And in that process, I just have to remind myself, you have to lead by example. You have to lead by example and just, remind him This is the mindset you need to have. You need to be grateful. Remind her, look, you are doing amazing. Yes, maybe you've taken 2 steps back, but look back at what you've accomplished and change that mindset. Let's change it to something positive and let's keep pushing forward.
Right. Angie's a parent of adult kids. I'm not, but I'm sure she can add some. She's been through that too, as well as, just having the love for your kid and, love them unconditionally and at the same time want the best for them. Right. But like she said, you hurt when they hurt. Right.
Right. Right. That doesn't change.
Mine's 12. So wish me luck.
You had a fun age. I don't think mine would mind if I
Fun.
said,
Come on by here one day. I'll show you what the hell fun looks like.
well, I'm not far behind. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter.
Oh gosh.
So
Yeah.
in a way, I'm restarting again as well.
Yeah, it's different day, and I mean every generation is different, obviously, right? Every
True.
generation is different. You had said something about trauma. You came across some trauma you didn't realize you had, right?
Yes. So I had 3 traumas that I was able to heal in the process of writing my book.
You want to share what those were?
Sure.
Go ahead.
My first marriage was abusive. It was abusive and my children were young. So it wasn't until I was writing my book and writing that chapter, and the name of the chapter is Abused. It's chapter 2. And I wrote a scene, an experience that I had, where I was being chased around the apartment, mainly our kitchen table. He had a knife, and it's because I wouldn't give him the last bit of cash that I had. He was addicted at the time, and I suppressed it all because I had 2 young children. And it wasn't until I wrote that chapter that I re-experienced it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat with myself and faced it over and over and over again until I was ready to let it go. Now, the longest one was from when I was 12 years old. My mother's marriage at the time with my stepfather, they had separated. He had come home to pick up some items, and they were in the bedroom. The phone rings in the house, and I go to answer it. It's one of my siblings saying, "Hey, I'm not going to be home straight from work. I'm going to be late. You have to let mom know. It's important. You have to let her know." I was, I believe, 12 at the time. So, here goes little me. Knock on the door, stick my head in, and I give the message. I make it back to the living room. Within 5 minutes, my stepfather left, and my mother was very upset.
Wait a
And
minute. Your stepfather did what? He left?
he left. He
Oh.
left. What I did pick up on when I opened the door, where they were at in the conversation, she was softening him, so to speak,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
Softening him. The impression that I got was to stay and let's work this out.
Mm.
And so once I went and sat in the living room and he left, she was very upset and came into the living room and was insisting, "Why did you tell me? Like, why did you interrupt us? Why did you give me that message? Then, like, why did it, basically, it was my fault. If I hadn't given the message, she might have
Oh,
succeeded
I see. They put it on
And
you.
so this is how suppressed this
Mhm.
trauma was. I was not aware of it until our editor was like, something's missing here. There's a disconnect. And I had acknowledged my repressed trauma from my last marriage of just not feeling heard, right? Or
Mhm.
acknowledged. And once I had that phone call, I will never forget this day for as long as I live. I was mopping the tile in the house, in the living room. And that moment with my mother came to mind. And I realized that I had suppressed it. Because in my mind, I at the time, I didn't necessarily connect that she was upset with me. Right. I
Mhm.
did on some level acknowledge that she felt it was my fault,
Right.
but I didn't realize as a child that she was upset with me until the editor said there's something missing. And as I was mopping that, the only word I can come up with is scene, if you will, because it's flashing in front of me in scenes.
Mm.
And that scene of her so upset walking into the living room and questioning me hit me like a ton of bricks. I fell to my knees. I
Wow.
fell to my knees and I had to process that.
You're right.
I had to process that. And once I did and was able to let it go, and what allowed me to let it go is that I know my mother loves me. She's no longer with us, but she loves me and never intended to hurt
Right.
me that way. I know that about my mother. But once I was able to face it over and over again, and what I mean by face it, acknowledge and ride the waves of the emotions, that child in me,
Hmm.
those emotions that I experienced that I then at the time suppressed because my concern was my mother. You know, she took to bed for a week after that, and so did I. Our rooms were directly across the hall from each other. We were in bed for days after that happened.
Wow. That's two. Is there one more?
The third is from my last marriage, just not being understood or acknowledged. You know, I stay in my book, and it was something that he mentioned to me when we were first dating. You know, he was my white knight in shining armor. And, you know, after 24 years of marriage, I had to acknowledge to myself that he wasn't just a white knight in shining armor to me only. You know, he had that in him. Um,
You're talking about affairs?
you know, I don't know if they leaked into affairs or spread into affairs, but
But you wouldn't be surprised
there
if they
was some
did?
type of emotional connections.
Okay. Fair.
You know, there was some type of emotional connections. There was, you know, saving damsels in distress, so to speak. And when I would voice those feelings,
Mm.
right,
Mhm.
I was made to feel like it was me who had the issue.
Don't you think most women are meant to? Don't you think most women? That's common. I mean, you can relate to that. I think a lot of women can relate to that. It's
As
not
far
it's not the man. The man doesn't take responsibility. It's always the woman that's going to be on you. It's not me.
this is true, but you know, something that I will say to the listeners is be careful because I lost myself. So
Hmm.
therefore, I lost my worth. I lost my worth.
You know, you went through three different trauma situations here, and I saved and reposted a video on YouTube. I'm sorry, TikTok it was, and the host of the podcast had a glass of water, and you may have even seen this. He held up the glass of water, and he said, let's say this cup is full of piss. There's piss in this cup and there's water in this cup. He said there's no amount of alcohol or whatever that's going to take the piss out of the water. Just like if there's trauma in the body, before you can get to the next step, you have to remove the trauma from the body. And his analogy was spot on because so many people think I can do this, that, and the other without digging deep and healing the trauma, understand the trauma, and then going to the next steps. They try to take the next steps or ignore all of it and try to live their life with the unresolved, unhealed trauma. You identified three different situations. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I recognize this, that not only did you identify those traumas, with each one, you gave it your individualized attention to heal it, move on each and every time. And that's why you're at where you're at right now.
It's a chapter in my book.
I
space
can
and
see why it would
grace.
be. I can see why it would be.
You have to give yourself the space. And what I mean by space is the time to be alone. Don't rush yourself. That's the space. Take your time. And the grace is crying when you need to cry. Be happy when you feel happy, right? If you feel like in order to get through that space and grace to heal the trauma, you need to spend a day in bed, spend a day in bed. Whatever it is that's going to work for you, listener,
You can answer
whatever
that.
it is, it's a very personal journey. So we
Sure.
won't know what that is until we're in the moment, right? So it's
Exactly.
very important to give yourself the space and grace
You
to
can relate to that.
heal
Everybody
everything
has a
else.
Yeah, everybody has their their pace, their time and pace. You know, there's no book on how long it should take, or you got to go at your own pace,
Right,
right? And recognize it. First of all, recognize it.
right.
Angela can relate to that. I mean, she had some challenges in her past, and you want to add to that a little bit? Give somebody listening right now, what would you tell them listening as far as how can you add to what Raquel just said about taking your time to heal yourself?
Yeah, you just need to remove yourself completely away from everybody. Just stop asking what can I do? Where do I go? I need help and this and that. No, you need to seek within. You need to find you somewhere quiet, sit down, uh, and just get real with yourself and ask yourself, of course, stop depending on everybody else to give you an answer. Because a lot of people are walking around, don't know what to do, and it's not. You need to find your own formula that works for you. You know, if that's being alone, finding time alone, so be it. If yours is seeking out someone else's constant, I don't advise anybody to constantly seek advice of others. You need to find that time for yourself. And a lot of it, that's how I got in trouble. Listen to this person, listen to that person, trying to satisfy everyone. So, yeah, that's time alone for me worked.
I agree. You know, it's been 6.5 years now where I have done shadow work. And you know, when I took a break after my two book signings, I'd say around March, no, I'm lying, April of last year. It was with the intentions of picking up where I left off from when I moved away, picking up where I left off. And I realized that I had cut out all places, people, and things out of my life in the process of becoming who I was meant to be,
Yeah.
right? Who I am today. There was nothing left to pick up. And so in that process is when you just realize that it's such a personal journey. No one can go through it with you even. You
Right.
have to do it yourself because only you know what you experienced, what
Correct.
those experiences felt like for you.
What they meant and everything. You just have to reprogram yourself.
Yes.
I have to catch myself. You know, there are many times I want to revert and I go, no, let me see what's going on. Constantly asking myself questions. Okay, why am I feeling this way? Okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You already know better. I have to just align myself back up, you know. Normally I in the end I feel better. Basically, if I could just hop to it without adding so much thought, I'm doing good. I'm doing well.
You know, that's interesting what she just said, because on during my morning meditation, I've been doing this for years now. I cannot leave the house or at least get out of the bed until I have a meditation, gratitude. But in my meditations lately, it's been when you can learn to, when you're here it is. When the feelings of your heart can override the thoughts of your head, you know you're making progress. I was like, I got goosebumps the other day in my meditation. Like, that was pretty good. I'm sitting there meditating, and the voice said to me, when you can allow the feelings in your heart to override the thoughts in your head, you're going to be okay. Because so many times we get those thoughts in our head are not what you shouldn't be listening to them. They're not always your best friend.
Right.
But the feelings in your heart, damn well in your heart, this is where I need to be. This is God put this on my path, in my direction. I'm here for a reason. You just got to do a quick overglance of how you got here where you are today. And it wasn't by your design, it was by life's design. And we can learn to practice and trust that process and put gratitude at the top of your list and say, look, motherfucker, look where you were a few years ago. You were in hospitals. You were taking 25 medications. You were going to neurologist. You couldn't drive a car. You couldn't work. All that shit, that the power of gratitude, can change your entire life. Now I have a brand new life. And I said earlier, the thoughts still drift. They're still there. They still get sprinkled in, but I'm not biting them. I'm not falling from them anymore. And I want to go right to you again, Raquel, because that book you mentioned, hold up your book for a second. Hold it up. Loud and proud.
My granddaughter on the cover, by the way.
That's beautiful.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Read the title. Read the title.
Meant for more. Uncover repressed trauma to find your fuego within.
Okay. Now, you mentioned it's a shadow work. Shadow work is for somebody, including me. I've heard the term shadow work. I don't think I've ever done it.
It's a psychological exercise.
Okay, that's my next question, though. Let's go through the process in a nutshell. Tell somebody what it is. Introduce shadow work to us and the people listening.
So I will give you what the shadow work that I've been doing since I published my book.
Okay.
Right? Because now I'm a brand new me, and
Okay.
I've not been this version of me before. So I'm in the process of getting to know me.
Fair.
So my first summer, my word was peace. I wanted to get peace within.
Gotcha.
So that's what I mentally focused on. My mindset was set on developing, creating, finding, including, leaning into peace, whatever.
Okay, pause for a second, because somebody listening, I'm going to back this up. I'm going to add to what she's saying, because it's not just random she's saying this, because mine was emotional freedom. You could put the jackpot in front of me, a brand new house, send me on a world vacation. I don't want any of that. I wanted what you wanted. You call it peace. I wanted emotional freedom. It's the same thing. So go ahead.
Yes. Last summer, my word was joy.
Okay.
I wanted more joy in my life. So my mindset was to create, find, and involve myself in things that brought me joy. This summer, it's fun.
Okay.
I'm at a point in my life where I am pretty good at understanding who I'm becoming.
Mm-hmm.
I not only like her, I love her.
That's
and it's been
important
a
too.
long time since I've been able to say that. A long time since I felt that way about myself, because I lost who I was. I lost myself.
Mm.
And so now it's fun. And for me, summer's just beginning. I am ready to have fun. It's a mindset. You have to decide what you want to leave behind to make space for what you want to bring in. And what you want to bring in doesn't just walk in. You have to work at it.
Right. Right. And the question I ask myself is this, and I'm pretty hard on myself. I don't say hard. I'm very direct with myself. Because the only way the only way I can get myself's attention is to be very direct.
Mm-hmm.
So if I find myself getting out of alignment, I say, okay, answer this one question for me. What is the benefit, of having a negative vibration? And what's the benefit of it? It's familiar. Yeah, it's familiar, sure. Besides that, is there any benefit to it? There's never. I have a shirt that says there's no positive in being negative. I made it myself.
I love that. It's very true. I posted a video on my social media. I guess it's going on 2 weeks now. It was the 17th actually of July. That was my 3-year anniversary of no medications. And that was the moment that I was able to sit back and not only acknowledge, but understand how far I've come and what I've accomplished. And I wasn't aware of it before because I've worked so hard at getting where I'm at. And it's like anything in life. You get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
And, you know, putting my name on a book with my formula in it, I wanted to be 110% sure that my formula works. And so I applied it to my life and it works. It's a big part of why I am who I am today. And I sleep very well at night. I couldn't
bet.
say that for a long time. You know, I like who I see in the mirror. There are just so many. It was a wonderful gift that I gave myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just in the last week, 2 weeks, 17th, however long ago that was, that I am enjoying that wave of the ride of the positive because I took the time to acknowledge it.
Yeah, the fruits of your labor, you know.
Yes.
I mean, as we're going to bring this in for a landing here, what if you? I wrote this question down while you were talking because I'm very in tune to what you're saying. I know I hear you, I feel you. What do you wish people could see through your eyes now that you're on the other side of all of it? You've been through the trauma, you've been through the dark days. Now you're here with a brand new life. What do you like? You can jump in somebody's head, you know, and just say, "Let me get inside your head for a second." And here's how I'd like you to see this through my eyes. Somebody who's done the work, who's healed. Here's what you have to look forward to. What do you wish they would see that for that?
You're the master of your own life. You are in control in the life that you live. Yes, there's circumstances that we are not in control of. Things happen. But we are in control of how we react and how we handle them. You know, when I was on medication, living in Paris, there is no part of me that ever thought I could do what I've done and be who I am today without medication. I
Wow.
was not aware of my capacity to change. I wasn't. And now, you know, I'm asking myself, okay, well, what else can I do?
See, that's what happens.
How far can I go?
Exactly.
The
How far can
sky
you take
is
it?
not the limit. It's
Yeah.
not, and you're not alone. You're not alone. I know that I felt like I was the only person in the world that was going through it. I felt like my friends around me all had their shit together.
Right.
And I was still trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
And it's the
Yeah.
farthest from the truth.
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right. You know, as you're talking, I'm saying that, you know, I relate to that because what would I, even if it's not another person, what would I tell the previous version of myself? What would I say to that person now? Say, look, I would say, listen, find the things you have so much to be grateful for. You know, like I said before, gratitude is an emotional magnet. You have a choice to where you want to place your attention. And I believe where we play, I mean, Neville Goddard says the same thing. You know, when you can change your focus, take the attention away from what you think is fucking you up. He doesn't say it like that. He says it like a little differently, but basically whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of.
Yes.
And the question I always go back to, why would I want to stay stuck in this? Why am I focusing on this? When if I have 1,000 things to be grateful for, and I'm focused, and one thing's out of whack, I have 999 other things to focus on. Why am I placing my attention on something so trite, trivial, and minute? I know why. Because that's the old programming stepping in. That's how my brain used to work. Find the problem. Find the problem, find the problem, find the problem. And I was raised by a mother who taught me how, and her mother and her grandmother, it was a family generation, worst case what ifs. Always focus on the worst case. Here's the worst case. My mother flat out told me, when you expect the worst, you'll never be disappointed. That's how I was programmed. So as a kid, what do you think your greatest teachers, your parents? So now you're in the world looking for, okay, well, yeah, what if this happened? What if that happens? And then anyway, my point of being is that make it your deliberate intention to pay attention where you're placing your attention. That's the best thing that's how I would like to say that to somebody listening right now who needs a starting point. Just become aware of where you're putting your attention.
It's very accurate. It's very accurate. For me, it would make me aware that I even wanted to change.
Yeah.
I hadn't hit that yet, or I hadn't made that connection yet until I realized I didn't like me.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like who I had become as a person. I acknowledged that in the courtyard that day in Paris. And then here in Newport Beach, there were things that I continued to develop in myself that I didn't like. And that's when I knew I wanted to change.
Mm.
So for someone listening, if you don't like yourself, that's a huge red flag.
Huge.
Because if you don't like you, who will?
Or respect you.
Or respect you.
100%. I can relate. I've told her, Angela, since I met her, I say, you know what, this may sound hokey, but I actually love who the fuck I am. I do. I love the person I become. Not in a conceited way, but as a miracle in God's highest form of all creation, as a supernatural being, having a supernatural experience, living a life of infinite possibilities and unlimited potential. I like it.
I think people forget that part, the unlimited potential.
Mm.
We forget the potential that we have, and it is unlimited. We put limitations on ourselves. I definitely was. I was suppressing so many aspects. Humans
do that. I wrote down something else as we were going through this. I'm going to backtrack a hair for 1 second. You jumped off the medications cold turkey. I mean, that's what I did. Is that what you did?
I did.
I make it the huge disclaimer. I don't recommend it. I don't encourage it. It was hard. I did it a couple of times. And one time I got this thing called brain buzz. I don't know if you ever got that. The brain started. Oh yeah. It was like my brain, put like a electric shock in my brain. It was awful. Anyway, you jumped off the meds cold turkey and then never looked back. Correct? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. I never looked back. Actually, the day that I realized I hadn't taken one, it was close to 2 weeks at that point. I only had maybe a week's worth left in the bottle. I threw the bottle out.
Yeah.
I also wrote in my book, I don't recommend it. It's just how it worked out for me.
100%.
And I developed my formula because I wanted to get off of them. I wasn't intending on getting off of them the way that I did. It just happened that way.
Like everything else in your life.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
But I just wanted off of them. And now my focus is to live my life and provide my own peace, joy, gratitude, and blessings so that I don't have to go back on them. That's my goal.
I mean, you haven't had the urge at all. I mean, have you come close to them? No, none. No. All right. Angie has a question, her last question for you. And then I'll wrap this up.
Sure.
Where can people find you, learn more about your work, and pick up your book, Meant to Be More?
I love that you asked that.
Her first podcast. How well is she doing?
Well, just so that you can remember the cover. So my book is available on Amazon, or if you want a signed copy, you can order from hopepublishing.com. That's my publishing company, and I will get you a signed copy.
How about that?
Just, if there's anywhere on there, I've never ordered from them, obviously. I'm not sure if there's anywhere on there. Just mention the podcast and I'll know. They'll know to let me know to sign it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's going to be it. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and your story, which is
Thank
going to
you.
be very beneficial to others.
Thank
Looking for
you.
some
Thank you
guidance.
so much.
Where are
That's
your,
the plan.
that is the plan, right?
That's right.
A master plan. What are your,
That's the plan.
what are your socials?
So my Facebook is Raquel Ploum. And so is TikTok. Sorry, so is Instagram.
Okay.
TikTok is Raquel's Intuition because I've learned through healing that I should have been listening to my intuition. That feeling you get right here in the gut. I
Mhm.
should have been listening to it a long time ago. And since I've started, it has not led me wrong.
Yeah, you become aware. Maybe it wasn't time. Maybe it wasn't time at the time. But you needed something. I believe the more we should on ourselves, the more the more bad we feel about ourselves. We start shoulding all over ourselves. But the universe put you in a situation where you heard it at the time you needed to hear it, and then do something about it.
Yes.
That's what I believe, Raquel. That's my 2 cents.
I agree with you on that. No, I agree with you on that. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wouldn't if my
That's
life
right.
hadn't happened the way that it did.
That's right. So it happened exactly the way it's supposed to happen for Raquel
Yes.
Ploum. God damn it.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. I appreciate having you. You have a website?
I do not yet. I'm
Okay.
in the process of developing my business plan. I've got a lot of juicy things that I want to work
All right.
on.
Let me know if you need help with a designer. I have a great designer.
Oh, I will reach out.
Okay.
I will.
Where you going now?
Thank you.
Are you going now surfing? Where are you going to go surf the waves in Newport Beach?
Actually, now I'm going to spend the afternoon with my dog, Gracie. And then there, Balboa Island has concerts in our little park every Friday for a few weeks in the summer. And today's the first one. So
Is it?
getting together with some friends.
All right. We're only right.
Awesome.
That's awesome. We are only right next door. So next time we're in the Newport Beach area, we'll definitely look you up.
Oh my God, please do.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
Do they still have the Newport Jazz Festival over there or no?
They do.
It happens
do
in,
still
I think it
have
happens in the fall, like September, October. It's sometime, isn't it?
That I'm not sure of when it is.
Yeah.
I know that the Laguna Sawdust is going on right now because I went to that Monday. It was great. And
Did you?
that's going on for, I think, until September.
Oh, is it really?
I think
Yeah.
so.
I used to live in Southern Cal. I used to get down there quite a bit, and I never made the jazz festival. Isn't there was a Catalina Island Jazz Festival too? There's always something to do in California.
There's always something to do. Like the OC Fair just started last weekend, and that's,
Yep.
I believe, for the next, I don't know how long. It's been a few years
Right.
since I've been, but I know that it's a lot of fun.
Right.
But I'll be honest, you don't really need anything to be going on. You just need the sun and the beach, and you're good.
And you're good.
There
Right.
you go. The beach.
The beach. Come on, Angela. Come on, let's go enjoy the beach. Us Southern girls.
That's right. 2 Southern girls hanging out in Newport Beach
The beach.
That's right.
for Girls Weekend. That might be.
They're
Hey,
not ready.
they're not ready for you. They're not ready for you, are they?
No, they're not ready.
Let's get Angie out there for a Girls Weekend in Newport Beach. Okay, Raquel?
I agree.
I can make that
Hey,
happen.
Since you mentioned it, I literally sent a text out to my girlfriends, a handful of my girlfriends. My mother's birthday is the 2nd of August, and she'd
Okay.
love to dance. I love
Yeah.
to dance.
Yep.
So I'm in the process of organizing a dinner and dancing evening at Quiet Woman on the 1st. So if
Really?
you want to come out and join us, let me know. You're more than
All
welcome.
right.
August
All right.
1st?
Thank you.
August 1st. I don't know
Okay.
if you ever heard of Quiet Woman. Look it up. They've got it's a small place, great food, and the best live band.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll be looking it up.
That sounds amazing. And you're sticking to your word. You're sticking to the word fun, right? Isn't your new word fun?
That's right.
You're gonna wear that. You're
Fun.
gonna run that word out the door, aren't you?
Oh, I'm gonna get every bit out of it I can.
Yeah.
Squeeze the hell out of it. That's
Yes,
right.
do
You're doing a
that.
great job. You're an amazing soul, and I'm super happy and proud for all the work you've done. And now you're living your best life. So
Yes.
I
good on
am.
you, Raquel Ploum.
Thank you so much. Thank
All
you
right.
guys. You have a good
And-
day.
You have a great
You
day.
too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.